Hi, and welcome to Learn with Sawgrass, the Tuesday edition. I'm Rhonda, the Education Manager here at Sawgrass, and we are here live on YouTube every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and then every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., both Eastern time zone. And we try to teach you everything you need to know about Sawgrass, about using our printers, and making products with our printers. And then of course, we know a lot of you, whether it's just a little or whether it's the primary thing you do sell with your printer. So we do try to give you some tips and tricks to help with that. And that's where we are this week. So today we are going to be talking about shipping. So packing and shipping your items. And then tomorrow we will be talking about what you need to take with you and what not to forget if you're going to be selling at holiday markets. So really exciting week this week. We do have a podcast coming up too. Not promising it's going to go live on Friday. We do have a lot going on this week, but we are going to do our best. And that is actually going to be organizing and prepping for holiday selling. And that is with a good friend of mine, Judith Sanchez, better known as Luna Lee on social media. So please check her out and check out that podcast. Again, our podcast, Ink Differently, can be found on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music as well. Now, I am joined today by Rhodes, who is running the camera and sound and all that for me, and he's also in the chat. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat. He will answer them. I'll pester him throughout to see what questions are coming in and to help answer them. So as I said, today we're going to talk about preparing your products and shipping them, because a lot of times, especially if you're selling online, you're going to be sending products to people who are not local. And then also, even if you are selling at a market or a festival, that is a great option to have to be able to ship it to people. You know, the beauty of everything sublimation and with the VersaFlex system as well is that you can personalize. So because everything is personalized, you may not get to give it to them right in person. So it buys you time to make it, but then now we got to talk about how to get it to someone safely. So this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I said this last week. In a previous lifetime, I did work at a large copy center that was owned by a large shipping company. So I have been trained on how to ship. And so packing's kind of my thing. I love this, but in every job I've had since then, I've got compliments on how well I pack things. So hopefully I can give you some tips and tricks to help. So just a few things before we jump right in. Please remember that so Christmas is on a Thursday this year. So you're really looking at Christmas Eve as the last day something can arrive. Is the 24th, which is a Wednesday. So really that target week to get everything out is going to be the week of the 15th. So December 15th is a Monday. If you're just sending it regular USPS, if you're sending it ground, you're probably looking at middle of that week as the very drop dead date around the 17th. So really you're wanting to have everything wrapped that weekend before. You know, we've started talking about holiday shipping or holiday selling all the way back in June. And one of the things that Lori Donovan said is you kind of take that date and then work back. So when is the last days you can take orders to have everything then produced? What are your production days and all of this? I've had the great joy of doing a project this week that is a donation, and I made 81 of something. So we'll be looking at that more as we go into the next few weeks. But I got to tell you, making 81 of something in a couple of days span is a lot. And I have learned a lot, and it's been a really cool experience. But we'll talk more about that as we go through. But that's one of the reasons why, to make sure that you're setting a schedule. You're kind of starting at that drop dead date. And you know, there are times when you are selling where you're not actually sending it to the recipient. You're sending it to the buyer, and then the buyer is handing it to the recipient. So that may be something where it needs to get out even earlier. All right. So let's talk about packaging. How you package something is really going to depend on how fragile it is. One of the best things that you can invest in, buy in bulk, is going to be shipping envelopes. Shipping envelopes are great for pretty much everything. One of the great things about them, of course, they are bubble wrapped, but one of the great things about these envelopes is they do come in different sizes. So if you're sending keychains, if you're sending magnets, if you're sending smaller wooden pieces, ornaments, you're going to use the really small one. This is one of the largest ones. I think there's one size bigger than this that you usually see. But these are great, especially for apparel, for socks, for anything fabric other than hats. These are really, really great. Same thing with pillows. There's a decision you have to make with pillows. Are you selling them filled, or are you not selling them filled? Are you just selling them as the covers, or are you selling them as the full pillow? If you're just selling the cover, this works. If you are selling a full pillow, that's where you're going to go to a box. And then also, I said hats, same thing. Hats are going to be better off in a box, just to keep them nice and not smushed. One thing that you can do with a padded envelope is you can add a piece of cardboard or cardstock inside to make it a little firmer. Not necessary for shirts, but for some items that may be a little more fragile. If you were deciding to use this method for coasters, depends on the coaster, but I would probably put something in there just to keep it firmer. If it is anything that is ceramic or glass, this is really where you really need to look at shipping in a box. Boxes are going to be much better for those types of things, just to keep them safe. So let's talk about mugs. So I have everything on my desk today. I have some boxes. I have my bubble wrap. I have some packing peanuts as well. There are some foams that you can get now. We have one that we use. I forgot to bring it in with me, but we use that a lot too. Anytime you're going into the box, you need to make sure that the item is secure and it's not moving. Now, hat, totally different circumstance. You need it to be generally not wiggly, but it's not going to be as important as something like a ceramic coaster. With a ceramic coaster, with a glass cutting board, I'm definitely wrapping well in bubble wrap, and then we'll either use the foam or the packing peanuts to fill the rest of the box. So you want to keep it so that it's not wiggling around. You want to make sure, if we're talking about something like a glass cutting board, that the corners are protected, that you've got either cardboard or cardstock wrapped around those corners, just something to give it a little foam, just something so that if it were to get jarred, if those corners were to get hit, they're not going to break. So just making sure that it's protected and is unable to move as humanly possible. So I'm going to talk about one of the methods for shipping mugs. Now, there are dealers, one of them being Coastal Business Supply, that do sell mug boxes. Mug boxes are going to be really, really great just to keep that nice and secure. Now, this is the method I personally would use if we were looking at shipping a single mug. Of course, this all changes if you're shipping more than one mug, but I use what I call the double box method. So I have a box that is just big enough to hold my mug. I'm going to go ahead and teach you something else as we go. So So you always make sure that the box, that everything is nice and flat and even, that the corners are pushed in so that you're creating a nice flat surface. Tape. Ah, yes, I put it down over here. Rhodes knew where my tape was, thankfully. All right. So I'm going to do what we're going to call the H method for taping this. Again, make sure everything's nice and square. Come across. And then, of course, I went completely unsquare the second I said that. But then you're going to take a piece that is just long enough to cover that edge. I am going to pull this down, push this in, make a corner, smooth everything out, and then do the other side. Anyone who's ever been doing boxes with me gets really annoyed because I truly believe in the H-tape method. I think it makes the box the most secure and the most likely to hold up. So even though this is the interior box, I'm still going to H-tape it. So before I would put this mug in here, I'm going to wrap it really well. One thing that I was going to talk about later is it's really cool to use tissue paper to add a little color. So I would probably put some tissue paper around this before I put the bubble wrap around it. But this is definitely going to get bubble wrapped. I'm going to go nice and in a circle with this. You can always, of course, use some of that tape to kind of secure this, to hold this in place. This is going to go in this box. If it did not fully fill the box, I could put some packing peanuts in here. I'm going to close the box, and then I would get this box together. This is a larger box. I would tape this as well. There I am. All right, Rose, do we have any questions or comments coming in?
Lori said that the last day to order anything for her is December 8th.
December 8th. That would make good sense because then you have that full weekend for yourself to get everything done and ready to go. And the other thing you want to remember, I mean, yes, of course, one of the biggest things about extending it, allowing people to do rush shipments. You can get money off of rush shipments, but if you are like most of us and you make your own gifts, you need that time. So that's really your time to make for your family and your friends. So you don't want to give that to anyone else. It is nice to be able to charge those rush fees and stuff, but remember, you're the one who's rushing. So you want to make sure and give yourself some time too. Always take care of yourself for the holidays. And think of yourself too. All right, so what I would do with this box is I'm going to fill this with the packing peanuts. And then once that's nice and secure, I'm going to put this right in the middle. And then cover it as well. So I'd probably do a thin layer at the bottom, thin layer at the top, make sure that box isn't moving. But that's what we're going to call the double box method. Really comes in handy, really useful, really keeps that nice and secure. And if you are in the US and you are using the My Sawgrass store, that's how we calculated the shipping cost, or well, not the shipping cost, but, well, yes, the shipping cost, but also what the producer gets. When they make a mug, we did calculate that you would be buying 2 boxes, that you were going to be using packing peanuts, all these things. So we did take all of that into consideration. This is it's a good point to talk about this. You're going to save money if you buy in bulk. So if you're able to buy multiple boxes at a time, if you're able to buy bigger things of, say, packing peanuts or bubble wrap or any of those supplies, to do that, this is where that niche that we talked about comes in really handy. I mean, I just talked about it. Mugs take a little bit more effort to ship them. They take a little more effort to pack them and a little more supplies. So that may not be something you want to do starting out, because you do know it's going to be another cost that you incur that you're going to have to calculate into the final cost of the product. Something that fits into an envelope, so much easier. If you use that colored tissue paper that I talked about, maybe a little bit of ribbon, just a little extra lanyard to add in there, but something very nice to do as well. So that's really the big things with shipping. Making sure that your item is not going to get bent, that your item is not going to get broken. If you are doing something that is larger and is glass or is ceramic, or slate even, you do want to protect corners. So make sure corners are protected. Maybe use some tissue paper to add a little color to make it a little special and not just be an item in a big box of packing peanuts. We talked about the double box method for mugs. That's kind of my preferred if you're shipping single mugs, unless you have gotten that box that's specifically made with foam inside for a mug. So those are some things that really, really help. So make sure that you are calculating time to package, to get those shipped out. Make sure that your dates are solid so that you're giving yourself plenty of time to get everything made and then shipped. So those are important. Now let's talk about what else you can put in the box. I am a big believer that handwritten thank you notes are so wonderfully appreciated when something's shipping from a small business. I've mentioned it before. Right Foot Socks, my place to go for socks. He always puts that note inside, and I always look forward to getting that. So that's a really big one. It's just a little thank you note, just to remind them that this isn't being sent from a company or a large company, that it's being sent from a small business. Just a thank you for them for investing in you, that little thank you note, maybe a sticker, maybe a piece of ribbon, any of those things. As I have been telling you, if you do sell VersaFlex or you do own a VersaFlex printer, you can make custom ribbon now. So if you have a business logo, you can put that on some ribbon to tie things up in the boxes. Just adds that little extra special touch. So I know this was pretty quick, but I know there was a lot in there. So hope you got some tips and some tricks that you may not have thought about packing your products to ship them. Rose, do we have any other comments or questions?
Lori has a good point here in terms of the shipment and branding. She says to buy your boxes. Do not reuse boxes from other companies. Why put their brand in people's minds? Blank boxes with stickers help you create your own brand.
Exactly. Huge point. Decorating your boxes, putting stickers on your boxes, like I said, that custom ribbon, but either a box that you're slapping a sticker on to make it your box, or something where you've got ribbon inside. Always make sure that you're including some sort of information on who you are. So it's really important. Like if I were to get a gift and it is a custom gift that was made by someone on Etsy, I want to know who that is because I may want to buy from them in the future. So slapping a business card in there, that often gets left in the present. And so of course the buyer should know who they bought from, but it's really great that the recipient does as well. I do a lot of shopping at holiday markets. And so when I do, I always leave that business card that I get with the package in there, just so whoever's getting it knows as well. So I always try to leave that in there just so they know who I bought from. And I do have a lot of favorite shops. I know we all do. So just making sure that you're passing that information along, that you're part of their marketing, since you're a loyal customer. And so we're going to talk tomorrow all about that with holiday markets and selling at holiday markets, but I'll go ahead and give you a sneak preview. Make sure you have business cards. Make sure you have things with your logo that are going in those bags. And again, same thing that Lori just said, make sure that you're taking boxes and bags that are not branded with someone else, because the only person you need to advertise is yourself. All right, that's all I've got for today. We will join you again in the morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit today, whether you're doing it live or you're going to do it a little bit later. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.